Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you want to start a business. Maybe it relates to the career you had prior to motherhood, or maybe it's a completely new idea you've had since becoming a mom. But for a variety of reasons, whatever it is, you want to create something new. Maybe it's to contribute financially to your family. Maybe it's because you want something that's quote unquote just yours and you want the adventure of business and that sounds fun and exciting to you. Or maybe it's for so many reasons that change every single day that you can't even pinpoint them exactly. You just know that you're feeling called to this, you're feeling passionate about this, and you have the capacity to add something else to your plate in this season, maybe when you didn't at another point in your motherhood journey. Well, friend, this episode is for you. I'm really excited to talk to you about this. I'm sharing from the perspective of one mom to another, and as a mom who's had my business almost 9 years now, I'm like 8.5, nearing 9 years. This is the advice I'd give to you as you go on your business starting and endeavor. And I'll be speaking in this episode primarily to stay-at-home moms here in the way that I talk. But if you work outside the home and you're like wanting to start a business to get away from that job and bring your family life back home, bring your work life back home to be with your family, like this 100% applies to you as well. So it applies to all moms wanting to start a business. And if you're a mom who's in the early stages of business, like maybe you're like, hey, I wanted to start a business and I did it a year ago, or I did it a few months ago. This is definitely for you as well, because these tips I'm sharing don't really apply exactly to like just literally starting. They can apply to just the early stages of business in general and getting things going. So really excited to chat with you. Let's get started. Hey guys, I'm Elizabeth McCravey, an online educator for entrepreneurs, website designer, wife, boy mom, and your host for the Breakthrough Brand podcast, the show that's all about pulling back the curtain on how to actually build a successful business. I don't skim the surface around here. If you want to dive deep into the nitty-gritty details of what it takes to run a sustainable business that fits your unique lifestyle while standing out in a crowd, then you are in the right place. I created a multiple six-figure a year business in my early 20s, and now in my 30s, I'm still running that successful multiple six-figure a year business on just part-time hours now as a working mom. I'm here to share everything I've learned and everything I'm still learning, because I believe that the keys to building a thriving business should never be a secret. Here you'll find episodes that are actionable, direct, and fun, like friends chatting business over coffee, and a fresh, honest take on the reality of being an entrepreneur. If you're ready to master online marketing, website design, personal branding, mindset, time management as a busy parent, scalable and passive income, and business strategy, then this is the podcast for you. It's time to build your breakthrough brand. Let's do this. Okay, before I get into my 4 pieces of advice for moms on starting your business, I just want to give a quick little context of me and my business so that you can take what I'm sharing with you here and apply it to yourself, but knowing like the perspective that I'm coming from. So I'm Elizabeth. If you're new here, I've been a business owner for nearly 9 years, like 8.5 years now, and I've been freelancing even longer than that. And I started my business before becoming a mom, which is probably different than your situation if you're listening to this. But I design and sell website templates. So if you need a website as you start your business, I'm your girl. Go look at my sites, elizabethmccravey.com/shop. And I teach online courses as well. I have one course for designers on how to start and build a successful business as a brand and website designer. And then I have another course for podcasters that's all about starting and scaling a podcast to be a money-making thing in your business. And then I've also hosted this show almost 5 years now. And in terms of motherhood, I have 2 boys, an almost 3-year-old and an almost 6-month-old. And I'm a Christian and my faith is really important to me. And I would also add that since becoming a mom, I have just so felt God calling me towards like a vision in my business of helping more women do exactly what I'm talking about in this episode, of starting a business that fits around your family life versus having work that takes you away from your family and costs you time that you'd rather have with your kids, and like the mental load and stress that makes it hard to be present as a wife and mom and friend and doing all the other roles you play as a woman. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell. nutshell, that's some things I'm passionate about. So you can kind of know like what perspective I'm coming from here. So now let's talk about you though. I want to say congrats on wanting to start a business or having already started one, because it is scary and it's a big deal. And if no one's told you that what you're doing is a big deal in pursuing starting a business, I just want to be like the person to tell you that like what you're doing is a big deal. You should be really proud of yourself. And I truly believe that you will look back on this season of your life and of early business with fondness, and hopefully right now, but definitely in the future, if not right now, you'll be able to see like beauty and strength in yourself as you made this decision, as you pursued multiple things and kind of, went on your own and tried something new and put yourself out there. Like it feels so vulnerable. And I know too, it can also just be like a weird and challenging thing to add to your schedule when you're already busy as a mom. Like you already have other things you're doing. You might have systems that work for you right now in your season of life. And now you're adding this new thing that does take time and does take hustle into your life. So just want to say go you. And I hope this podcast episode and my show in general can be a resource to help you with the work of it all. So I could give a million tips on all this, but these are like, besides just wanting to encourage you, 4 pieces of advice that were on my heart as I really thought about this topic. So the first one that I want to share with you, know that your career prior to your career pause for motherhood is valid and it's relevant, even when the world's changed and your industry has changed since you were working a job or since your degree or whatever it was. So I just want to say go easy on yourself as you're diving back in and know that you are not irrelevant. But something that may have happened for you is, things like AI in work has been added. Like maybe like the industry you're working in, all of a sudden there's, chat GPT and things like that, like people are using. Maybe the softwares you used and were really familiar with like 5 years ago doesn't even exist anymore. Or maybe it's been completely redesigned and you don't even know how to use it. Maybe you feel like I was really once good at X, Y, and Z, but now I'm not sure if I'm even good at that anymore because the world has changed. The way this service or skill has been done has changed. It can be hard feeling that way, right? So I just want to say go easy on yourself because things will have changed, right? Like the world is ever evolving. The industry you may have worked in is ever evolving. I know for me, even when I've just taken pauses for like 5 months for maternity leave, things changed drastically. Actually, on the first maternity leave I did with my son, Colin, which was like 3 years ago now. But when I came back from, I did a 5.5 month maternity leave. When I came back, 2 of the everyday business softwares I used, like I was just using day in, day out in my business, had completely redesigned their interfaces while I was gone and added like new things they did. And I came back and I was like, whoa, this looks so different. Now I have to like relearn using this, right? And that was just in a 5-month pause. So anyway, with these types of shifts happening from a longer pause that you may have done, you may potentially feel out of touch and maybe there is learning to do. So I just want to encourage you to do the learning, but as you do the learning, do not tell yourself the lie that the prior experience you have, your prior degree, your prior job, prior courses you've taken, like whatever it is, don't tell yourself that those things are irrelevant now because they are not. It's still super relevant and pieces of what you used to do will come back to you and the practice will give you more confidence as you keep doing the skill. In addition to that, I want to say too, so not only is like what you did, at your previous job or what you learned in college or whatever it is, the skills you've also learned while you've been on a career pause for motherhood are incredibly relevant as well. And that's something I feel like too many women often miss in the hustle of being a stay-at-home mom or maybe working part-time and doing more in the home, whatever it is. But like those skills you've learned are super relevant still. And I just totally believe moms are just like superhumans. I love working with moms in my business. I love hiring moms on my team. And I admire stay-at-home moms so much because it is a ton of work and it is a true daily grind. But you have developed skills in your motherhood that are going to apply now to your business endeavors and make you a better business owner for it. So just to like use broad terms for some of the skills, but these of course are much more granular, right? But you've learned skills like really specific organization things, time management things, discernment, managing a family calendar, dealing with like children and toddlers and tantrums, like your own emotions. I mean, so many like inner work and much more than I'm forgetting, but like Interrupting this episode with a suggestion for the small business owners listening. Ever wonder what you should do for healthcare when you and your spouse are both self-employed so there's no work-provided health insurance to participate in? Well, when my husband Adam joined me in the entrepreneurial job space over 4 years ago, we joined Christian Healthcare Ministries instead of getting traditional health insurance. And it was the best decision for us, especially in these years of growing and raising a family while also running multiple businesses. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry and is a faith-based alternative to health insurance. We did tons of research before choosing CHM, and if you know me and Adam, you know we are all about doing the math when making big or small financial decisions. And even though it's not insurance, CHM shares 100% of eligible medical bills, which is more than the typical 70 or 80% of medical bills paid for by insurance companies. All sharing is determined by the CHM guidelines, which you can check out before and after joining. And for the mamas and mamas to be listening, you truly cannot find a better healthcare option for maternity care. I had a vaginal delivery and a C-section and birth center care and hospital care between my 2 pregnancies and births, and it was all 100% shared for. And outside of birth, we've had our share of emergency room visits and procedures as a family, and those costs were all shared by members at Christian Healthcare Ministries, leaving us only paying our monthly contribution. CHM is less expensive month to month than insurance, and because there's no network, you can choose your care with whichever providers best fit your family. I seriously just cannot recommend Christian Healthcare Ministries enough. You've got to check them out. Go to elizabethmccravey.com/CHM for more information. Also putting that link in the show notes, elizabethmccravey.com/CHM. Now back to the episode. You have learned so much in motherhood, and that's relevant now as you start your business. So just know that past work's relevant, the work in motherhood's relevant, all that's relevant. So don't let yourself believe that's not, and just go easy on yourself as you dive back into the skill or learning a new skill. If maybe what business you're starting has nothing to do with what you did prior to becoming a mom, just know it's relevant and you're going to figure it out. Okay, second thing. This is a bit more tactical. So focus on deciding what the business is. Okay, so that's step 1. 2, who you want to serve, going niche but not too niche. And then 3, go find clients. That is the first step of starting your business. So I actually have a friend who I bet will end up listening to this episode. Shout out to her. But she has been a stay-at-home mom for about 4 years. She has 2 kids. And prior to being a stay-at-home mom, she worked in copywriting and doing SEO before she paused her career to stay home. And now she's starting a business. And I've just been so admiring of her, admiring her talent, how just wonderful she's doing in starting this business and getting to like walk with her through that as her friend. And just also like a side note, it's been fun. So she is using one of my website templates, the Carrie template. And she also joined Book.Designer and took the whole course, like literally took the entire thing. Because yes, things like my courses, Book.Designer, is relevant for copywriters too. Like she got so much out of it. It's been fun having that friendship, like her get to see like what I do in my work when she hadn't prior. But anyway, I'm getting off on tangent now, but she is just such like an inspiration to me watching her start her business. But she's the inspiration for this episode because this is the kind of stuff I've been talking about with her and like watching her like work through and deal with and stuff. But anyway, she's inspiration here. But this particular tip is something that she and I have talked about a few different times as she was starting her business. There's kind of that struggle and that question of like, what the heck is the first step? Because the reality is when you're starting a business, regardless of the business type, there are a million first things you can do. And a lot of things feel equal weight and importance, and you cannot do them all at once. You don't need to do them all at once. And in some ways, the order doesn't matter. In some ways, it does. And so it can just feel really confusing of like, what do you pick as the first thing? Like, do you go register your business with your local city? Do you design business cards? Do you make a logo? Do you get a website? Do you come up with your service packages? Do you get a social media account? Do you get a domain? Like, what things do you do first and in what order? And the truth is, the order and what makes the most sense is going to vary a bit depending on the type of business you're starting. But I would say for most businesses, real quick, just to kind of speak to some of the things I just threw out there, don't do business cards, okay? That's not relevant here. In 2024, for most businesses, that's not the first thing you do. Your social media account is more similar to like what the role a business card used to play. And I would also say for most small businesses, and this would vary some depending on the type of work you're doing, but registering your business like locally does also not make sense for a first step. step when your business is not earning money yet. But some of those early things, right? Like getting logo designs done, getting a website coming for your packages, those could be good early first steps. But the earliest step you need to do, the literal earliest step, is deciding on what you're going to do. Maybe it's web design. Maybe it's copywriting, SEO like my friend is doing. Maybe it's bookkeeping services, photography, social media management. Another type of design work like wedding stationery, illustrations you're selling on Etsy, making bread, making sourdough bread and selling it from your home. I have another friend who has a sourdough bread business that she started as a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids, and she's absolutely crushing it. And that was not something she did prior to pausing her career to be a mom, but now she has an incredible bread business. So like whatever it is though, you need to decide what that is. Maybe it has to do with your previous career. Maybe it does a little bit, maybe it doesn't at all, but decide what it is. And then after that, you need to decide what you are going to sell within that offer, right? So maybe it's copywriting. Okay, what services are you selling? Are you doing copywriting for entire websites? Are you doing SEO blog posts? Are you doing email copywriting? Like decide what things you're interested in, and you don't have to get super specific to start. I actually did a recent episode. Let me look it up. It is episode 271. It says, ignore this advice when you first start your business. And it's about niche and specialization. So you want to like niche and specialize a little bit, but not too much. You want to have a broad sense of who you want to work with, but be open to working with people outside that so you can figure out what makes the most sense for your business. I would go listen to that episode after this one though, because that will help you with this. But like you need to kind of know generally, what do I want to offer? You can think about like what kind of prices make sense as I'm starting out and kind of work out those packages. And to start, that might just be in a Google Doc that you're working out what the packages are and you're communicating with people over email, telling them what you've put into this Google Doc. Maybe it's getting a website quickly up. Like those sorts of things can all be early steps here, but kind of decide on that, right? And then go work on getting some clients. That's the biggest advice I can give you. And you know what? If you just heard me say that and you're like thinking to yourself, but Elizabeth, I can't do that. But Elizabeth, no, I'm not ready. That might just be like your perfectionism causing you to procrastinate, your fear around this new endeavor causing you to want to procrastinate, because like the business becomes a business truly when there are paying or even trial clients you are working with in your business. And I think too often we hold off on this step to keep just doing more and more getting started stuff because we're scared to really get started. And that may or may not be you, but if it is you, hopefully what I just said spoke to you about that, because getting clients is important. And that is what starts to really make this thing become a business. So don't just like keep doing random stuff to procrastinate the getting clients part. And in the going to get clients, like what does that look like? Okay. That might involve a website first, or it might just mean marketing from social media for a few months, creating some content on Instagram, not having a website in your bio, just like, and then you eventually get a website. Regardless though, I would say a website should be a very early step in your business. That's relevant for most businesses, but it might not be the very first step. My friend who I mentioned who just recently started her business as a stay-at-home mom, she used one of my website templates, but she actually got her first client who's a friend before she finished customizing the website template. And I also want to add, she customized the website template in like a day, plus a little bit of work after that. But I was like so impressed because she got the template, we're texting about it, and then she's like, Elizabeth, here's the preview link. I already got it done. And like, this has been so amazing, so easy. She had never used Showit before. I need to like grab her testimonial because she sent us one over email actually, but never used Showit, and then like got the website live like literally during nap times. Like, and I said a day, it might've been more like a week, but it was like so fast. So yeah, if you want to check out my templates, elizabethmccravey.com/shop. She has the Carrie template. That one particularly works really great for a copywriter, and it looks so good with all of her content in it. But anyway, she kind of did in that order. She felt like she wanted a website quickly. She got social media set up after she had the website set up. So again, it's going to vary a bit depending on your specific business, but you need to figure out what those early steps are. And I do think a website should be one of the early steps, but does not have to be the first one. If anyone's telling you that like this one particular thing has to be the first thing you do in their business, they're probably wrong. Like you can do things in a variety of order. For me, if that you want to just hear about back when I started my business, I actually did not have a website for probably like 9 months because I was considering myself more of a freelancer than a business owner. And often when you're in that freelancer mindset, you don't feel as though having a website is as important, which I would disagree now looking back. I would have probably found success faster in terms of booking clients and things had I gotten the website quicker. But I was kind of finding people on social media and word of mouth at first, which again is fine. But like eventually the website will be part of it, but you have to go in the order that makes sense for yourself and maybe even make a list of like, these are all the possible things I could do to start. What do I think should make sense first for my particular business, for the particular clients I'm interested in working with, particular services I'm offering, figure out. And just know that there are a lot of potential early steps to do that are just distractions. So some potential distractions that I consider distractions for most small businesses. One would be things like print collateral like business cards. Okay. I know there are some people where business cards are a relevant early business purchase, but generally speaking, that's just a distraction. For most businesses, going and registering your business and doing all that stuff is often a distraction. Obsessing over which software to use instead of just picking one. That can also be a distraction. Obsessing over which website template to buy forever, a distraction. So like just make decisions and go. So that's my second tip. Focus on deciding what the business is, who you want to serve, and then go find the clients. That is the first step. Okay, now third piece of advice I want to give you as a stay-at-home mom starting a business. And this is like I was just talking about distractions of like what's distraction starting. This third tip has to do with distractions as well. So that is, don't let this new venture affect how you show up as a wife and mom and a friend and the other things you're already doing in your life. Take it slow and know that like your work does not have to be all or nothing. So I think I've shared this quote on the podcast recently, if not, it was on social media, but I love this quote by C.S. Lewis that says, children are not a distraction from more important work. They are the most important work. I also believe if we look at Jesus' life and how he lived in his ministry in the Bible, kids were never in the way. They were, in fact, what Jesus said to be more like the little children. Children are not a distraction from more important work. They are the most important work. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't start a business, though. That doesn't mean that we can't like hold two things true, that like you really care about your motherhood and your family life, and you also want to start this business, right? Like both can be completely true, but adding something to your plate as a mom when you probably already have systems that are working for you right now in this season of motherhood, that can feel really taxing. And something else to know too, it's absolutely okay that you probably have to hustle a bit in your business to get it off the ground and get going. Right now we are in a moment in business, which I should do a whole episode about, but where there's a lot of stuff around the term soft CEO and like anti-hustle, working less, which I've been working less and have been anti-hustle for most of the time. I would say that I've owned my business, but you're seeing this a lot right now from really, really like big time celebrity business owners pushing like basically not working when they actually built their business with a lot of hustle and grind. So just remember that when you see that type of content, that if you in these days of starting your business, you feel like, man, I'm having to work after bedtime. A day when the kids are in Mother's Day out, when normally you are doing other things, you're like having to work on your business. Maybe you're letting some things go and other priorities because you're working your business instead. That's all good and great and normal. And that's part of what it like can take to build a business. Okay. So just keep that in mind as you see all this like super intense, soft CEO type of content, because getting a business off the ground takes hustle and drive and time. But also I want to say with that, know what your goal is for this season and for how much time you'll be working, because it can be so easy in business to just let work overtake your life if you let it, especially as a work from home business. Like those can be tough on boundaries because it's just coming from your laptop, it's just coming from your phone. So it can feel like every spare moment, if you want to, if you feel as though you have the time and it's a priority, that you can just always be working on your business. So know that it's going to take some hustle, but also in that same mindset, be okay with slow growth so that you don't get like stressed to the max and feel like you can't manage it all and your business makes your life unmanageable, because that is not what we want, right? We want this to be something that fits into your life, that brings you joy, that brings income to your family, and also allows you to still be with your kids, right? If that's a priority to you. So anyway, that would just be the third tip. Don't let the venture affect how you show up as a mom. And again, it might some days and some moments, but I'm talking more overarchingly, not letting this like change things for you. And being okay with slow growth, knowing that like a successful business is not built overnight. I think sometimes we see businesses' success and it can feel like when you look at them from afar that it was built so quickly, when really it wasn't. Like slow growth is more of the norm for most businesses. And the fourth and final thing I want to say, and I have less to say about this, I did some other points, but surround yourself with people who believe in you and believe in this vision and want you to pursue this thing. If you really want to pursue it, if you want to pursue the business, you need to surround people who also want that for you. Especially like when it comes to who you're talking about the business stuff with, because as you get started on this likely is a topic that you're excited to bring up to people. You want to show people your new website. You want to talk about the client project, whatever it is, you want to talk about like all the things you're working on because it's exciting, right? So you want to surround yourself with people who are going to be excited about that with you, because it's hard enough getting back into work as it is, but it's even harder when you're putting yourself out there as a business owner, and especially hard if you have someone around you who doesn't believe in you. And I really hope that your spouse or significant other believes in you. I hope that your children and friends believe in you about this. But I would say a thing I'd recommend trying is like practice, like if you feel afraid to like talk about the business idea, and maybe you're in a season where you've already like launched it and you've been talking about it a long time. But if you're like just in the early stages of like, I'm dreaming about this, I'm a stay-at-home mom or I'm working part-time and I'm dreaming about starting a business, and you're not even really talking about it with people yet, maybe you told your spouse, but that's it. I would practice telling a close, tested friend who loves you and cares for you about this goal and idea, someone who you think will like ask good questions, lift you up, pray for you in it, and lean into that energy they have for you if you can do this. And if you do talk to someone about it and you feel pretty set on this idea, like you're like, nope, like I know this is the right decision for me and my family, but they're just like super, super pushing back. Sometimes if they're a trusted person, we should listen to that, right? But if it's someone who like you've decided you want this and it makes sense, but they're being especially negative about it, don't make them someone you're regularly talking about your business stuff with. That doesn't mean you're not their friend. That doesn't mean they're not your mother or whoever they are, but that does mean maybe they're not who you're going to for like business advice and talking about this journey with in this point right now. And lastly, I just want to remind you, I'm sure you're thinking this already, but as you like go on this endeavor, it's a long game. Your career's a long game. Your motherhood's a long game, and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the changes and shifts and the interesting endeavors that like this new season brings of like trying something new, of adding something new to your life. And I hope that when business starts to feel stressful, because it will, right? It'll feel stressful juggling it all, that you can also find joy in it and know that you're like choosing this. And if at any point you decide, I don't want to choose this anymore, that's okay too. That's worth saying. If maybe you decide you want to do this, you're like, wait, I actually don't think it makes sense in this season. It's okay to say, I'm going to pause on this and go back to this. And I'm going to try it again later. Like it's a long game. Your career is a long game. Your motherhood's a long game. Enjoy the ride. So, okay, let me recap those 4 pieces of advice. So then we'll close out. So first one was know that your career prior to your career's pause is valid and relevant. And also the skills that you have gained in motherhood are valid and relevant too. Second thing was focus on deciding what the business is and then going to find clients, and just knowing that that's the first step, and a lot of other things that you might feel like should be first steps are actually just distractions. And then third one, don't let the new venture affect how you show up as a mom and other important roles in your life, and know that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, and you can take it slow, but it also will probably require some hustle. And then 4, surround yourself with people who believe in you. And like I said, I could say, even as I complete this episode right now with these 4 pieces of advice, I feel like my head is spinning with like more pieces of advice I would give, because truth is there's so much things I'd want to tell you, and so many things I've told my friend when we've sat down talking about this. Because business, there's so many pieces of advice you can give. So just know that this isn't like all inclusive to the things I'd want to say. And I'd love to create more content around this. But like, if this episode was helpful to you, I'd love to hear from you. Anytime. My DMs are open on Instagram. My inbox is open. I'm at Elizabeth McCravey. And you can also email me at hello@elizabethmccravey.com. And if you know a mom who's wanting to start a business or who is in the early stages of her business, will you please send her this episode if you think it'll be helpful to her? Sending this episode to friends is a great way to like spread the word about the podcast and help the show grow, and a way to say thank you to the Breakthrough Brand Podcast without buying anything directly. So anyway, I so appreciate that. And again, if you're needing a website for the early stages of your business, my website templates are literally so perfect for new business owners or business owners who've been farther along. But you can go to Elizabeth elizabethmccravey.com/shop to see all those templates there. They're built for a variety of business types. They're easy to customize. You can be like my friend who customized it using the course. My templates come with a course called the Show Up Blueprint course that teaches you how to set everything up. And she literally used that course and set it up like during nap times. In the summer, I should add, she has Mother's Day out for her kids a few days a week, or for her oldest at least, but she did this in the summer with no childcare, and got the website set up in less than a week. I wish I knew exactly how long it is. Like, I keep wanting to say a day, but I think it was closer to like 3 days or so. But anyway, you can be like her and get it set up quickly, and start working on pursuing this business. So anyway, that's it. Thanks so much for being here. And I so hope this episode was helpful to you. Hey, thank you for listening to the podcast all the way to the end. I appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, then I want to invite you to check out my website template shop too. Over on elizabethmccravey.com, you'll find Show It website templates that are easy to use, strategically designed, and created to help you make more money from your website. Maybe your current website is really boring, maybe it's a challenge to update, and maybe it's even the thing you feel like is holding your business back. Your website needs to be strategically and intentionally designed in order for it to convert your viewers into raving customers, and that's exactly what my templates do. These templates are designed to be SEO friendly on the back end, not just pretty, and also strategic with all the strategies I teach on the show, and they are easy for you to set up all by yourself. So shop them at elizabethmccravey.com/shop and come join thousands of happy customers using these templates. And as an added perk, you can use the code BBPodcast at checkout to get 10% off your template as a thank you for being part of the podcast fam. Again, that's BB Podcast for 10% off any template over on elizabethmccravey.com. Also, if you loved this episode, leaving a rating and review for the show on wherever you're listening or sharing it with a friend is a great way to support this podcast. Thank you again for listening, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.